see, suppose they have given you, if you know periodic table, then only you can do this all promptly. Otherwise, we'll be taking a lot of time, and that much time won't be there in entrance examinations. So see how they'll be asking you questions based on those 12 points which we did there on the first and second class of this atomic structure. They will be asking you Mn2 plus, Fe2 plus, Ni2 plus, and Cr3 plus, which is most paramagnetic. Which one is most paramagnetic, or which one will be having highest magnetic moment or maximum magnetic moment. Or they can ask you then which one will be most darkly colored, or which one is having maximum number of unpaired electrons, or which will be having maximum number of unpaired electrons or unpaired d electrons. Both can be two different things. Unpaired d electrons or unpaired electrons. See what Mn2 plus is. Mn2 plus is 3d5. Mn is 25 now. Mn is 25. 25 means 4s2 3d5. After losing 2 electrons from those 4s subshell, it will be having 3d5 only. And Fe2 plus will be having 3d6. Fe is 26, that is 4s2 3d6. After losing 2 electrons from 4s subshell, it will be having 3d6 configuration only. Nickel is a 4s2 3d8. After losing 2 electrons from 4s subshell, it will be having 3d8 configuration. And Cr3 plus is 4s1 3d5. Cr is 4s1 3d5. After losing 3 electrons, 1 from 4s and 2 from 3d, it will be having 3d configuration only. So this will be having magnetic moment of this 3d5 will be 5.8 bm, will be most paramagnetic, most darkly colored, will be having maximum number of unpaired electrons, maximum number of unpaired electrons or unpaired d electrons. Unpaired electrons or unpaired d electrons, both will be unpaired d electrons. Both answers will be right for this Mn2 plus. This will be having 4.8 bm, 4 unpaired electrons only. This will be having 2.8 bm, will be having 2 unpaired electrons. This will be having 3.8 bm, having 3 unpaired electrons. So this will be least paramagnetic. This will be having.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, please.
Still time is 7:58, sir. Now we are joining, sir.
Yeah. So I was just revising the previous one. Since 5-7 minutes were there, I have not yet started classes. So this class I have not, 8 o'clock only we will be starting. So I was just using this time. We were having 5-7 minutes. So just what we did there on the first and second day, the same point I was revising. The same point, nothing new. We'll be starting at 8 o'clock. Fine. So since this will be having 5 unpaired electrons, so we'll be having 5.8 bm. This will be having 4 unpaired electrons, so 4.8 bm. This will be having 2 unpaired electrons, so 2.8 bm. This will be having 3 unpaired electrons, so 3.8 bm. So see here, there is you won't be having that much time that you will be calculating what atomic number Mn is having, or Fe is having, or Ni is having, or Cr is having. We should know, we should remember this all, this entire periodic table, and then you won't be having time even to write 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6. That much time won't be there. So you should be having good practice over this all. Then only you can do like this. Otherwise, it will be taking a lot of time. And 80-90% questions are based on these points: color, or magnetic moment, or paramagnetism, or number of unpaired electrons, or unpaired d electrons. Like this, they will be asking you. So we should remember this all. And as I already told you, you will be getting more than 1,000 questions based on those 12 points which we did there on the first and second day. And 1,000 is a very big deal there in GRB or Arihant or any other reference book. And more than 50 questions in last 42, 43 years there in IIT from these 12 points are there. Not only in IIT, in every exam, whether it is NEET or SAT or your CET, whatever it is, in every exam, they will be asking questions from these 12 points. And if nothing they will be asking, then also it will be playing very crucial role in making our chemistry easy or easy to handle, or everywhere, every inorganic chemistry, every chapter in inorganic chemistry, every chapter starts with these 12 points only. Okay, fine. So if still you have any doubt, you can ask me. Fine. So it's
Sir?
Yeah, please tell me.
Sir, should we remember all the magnetic moments for
No,
all
no,
the
you need
elements?
you need not to remember. You need not to remember. Just means there only, because we won't be knowing that which element they are going to ask us now. We don't know this all. So
Yes, sir.
you should know periodic table, and you should know periodic table. From there it will be very easy. See, this is your periodic table. This now it is hanging, so I'm not able to draw. So in first A, all elements will be having NS1 configuration. In second A, all elements will be having NS2 configuration. Third A, all will be having NS2 NP1, NS2 NP2, NS2 NP3, NS2 NP4, NS2 NP5, NS2 NP6, like this. So all elements will be having same configuration except exceptions. Except exceptions, all will be having same composition. So it won't be so difficult for us to manage, but you should know the periodic table, then only we can handle this one. Periodic table is most important thing.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. So now we'll be starting our class. What we were doing there in the last class?
Sir, can you remove that spotlight logo, sir? Because the screen is showing half only to me, sir. Board is small and side one square is showing.
Okay, fine. I'll check it. Okay. Now it's okay?
Yes, sir. Now full screen came.
Okay, fine. So what we were doing there in the last class?
Sir, in the last class, we was doing about the spectrum, sir, and we learned about isotopes and all.
Oh, fine. So what was the last one? Isotopes were the last one?
Isodiaphers.
Isodiaphers was the last. Okay, fine. So what definition I gave you now, that's a little different one, and what common is everywhere you will get that common definition there in different books. Atomic number same, atomic weight different, isotopes, isobars will be having same atomic weight, but you should try to do by that method how many, where electrons are same or where protons are same, and where proton electron both are same, where proton electron both are different and neutrons will be same. So like this, that definition is relatively uncommon, so they can ask you question from there only. So what common is, usually they won't be asking questions from there. So we did till this isostars are also done, isostars, isodiaphers. So see, if you know periodic table, then you can handle this all, na, isostars, isodiaphers, everything. You need not to learn this all everywhere. Just to learn once this periodic table, then it will be very easy for us to handle this all. You need not to mug up this all. What next is in this iso term, one isomer is also there.
Sir, can you revise all the ISO terms, sir?
Yeah, fine. I'll do that. See, first we started with isotopes. Isotopes are those species which have same atomic number. Always stress on examples. So you need not to mug up theory.
Different.
Yeah, good. So see, carbon 612 and carbon 614. These are two isotopes of carbon. So here, these are two isotopes of carbon. See here, these are two isotopes of carbon. See here, electron is 6, proton is 6, and neutron will be 12 minus 6, that is 6. And here electron will be 6, proton will also be 6, and neutron will be 14 minus 6, that is 8. See here, in these two isotopes, number of electrons and protons are same, but neutrons are different. So what isotopes are? Everybody used to say that's having same atomic number and different atomic masses. So everybody knows this. So they won't be asking you question from this. And if it is from there, then it will be easy for you to handle. But if it is not there, then obviously how they will be asking you question. What isotopes are? Isotopes are those species which have different number of neutrons, but same number of electrons and protons. So like this, they'll be asking you U92, 232 or U92, 235. U92, 235. This is the most easily feasible isotope of uranium. So this gives enormous amount of energy. The maximum amount of energy, most unstable isotope of uranium is U235. That gives enormous amount of energy. So see here, so like this, they can ask you something else too. If they'll be giving you 235 and 232 both, then it will be easy for you to understand. But if they'll be asking you uranium, they will be writing like this, isotopes of uranium. If they'll be writing like this, then it will be very difficult for you to know this all, because they have not mentioned here atomic number and atomic mass. So it is you only who will be remembering this all. So if they'll provide you question like this, then it will be easy for you to handle, because everything is written. You just need to do maths only, calculation only is required. But here, not only maths, you have to manage chemistry also. You should know atomic number and atomic masses. So see, same question, but in one case it will be easy for you to handle, and in other case it can be difficult for you to handle. So from that point of view, I am telling you this all, that again and again insisting you on to learn periodic table. Then only you can handle any sort of question paper there in chemistry, whether it is easy or difficult. Questions will remain the same. If they'll provide you information, then will become easy. And if they won't be going to provide you any information, then the same question will become difficult for you. So it is depending upon the information provided by them and the options what they will be giving you. So from that basis, you can do question easily or with difficulty. So are you getting my point? They can ask you question like this, or they can ask you question like this. They can ask you question like this, or they can give you carbon isotopes. Carbon isotopes, now you should know what isotopes carbon is having, 12 and 14. So like this, they can ask you. So the most important point is this. That's all. Everybody knows that same atomic number and different atomic masses are isotopes. So now this was your first point. Second point, isobars. I have just given you 2 examples, but many more they can ask you. So isobars. Isobars are those species which have same atomic weight, but different atomic number. C, calcium 2040, argon 1840. See here, electrons are 20, protons are also 20, neutrons are also 20. But here electrons and protons will be 18 and neutrons will be 22. So see here, all electrons.
Are you anything, sir?
Pardon?
Are you writing anything on the screen, sir?
Yeah, you can't see there on the screen. I am writing everything there on the screen.
Sir, like, I can see, sir.
Pardon? Hello?
Sir, like only the isobars I can see, sir.
What bars?
Sir, now it came.
Oh, fine. Maybe because of network there on your side. But I am right. I have written everything there on the screen already. Fine. So, but anyhow, if you have any difficulty, you can just text me. Fine. So, or you can let me know. Fine. So that's the number of electrons, protons, and neutrons there in isobars. So all the 3 things will be different there in case of isobars. All electrons, protons, neutrons, everything will be different there in case of isobars. I have given you 2 examples. You have to develop so many more examples there from the periodic table. If you know atomic weights now, atomic number, then only you can come to know that these two are whether isotopes or isobars or what exactly it is. Fine. Or example of isostars or isodiaphers or isotones, what exactly it is. Now, third, we will be talking about the isotones. Isotones. What isotones are? Isotones are those species which have same number of neutrons. Those species which have same number of neutrons are called isotones. See, one more thing, I think I have previously also told you all, in chemistry, you will be writing electron like this. You know, in chemistry, you will be writing electron like this, but in nuclear chemistry, you won't be writing like this. You will be writing -1 and 0. This is electron. Charge is -1 and mass is 0. How you will be writing proton? Proton you will be mentioning like this. Proton +1 charge and mass is 1. So see, this is proton and this is electron. But here how you are writing? Electron is written like this and proton is written like this, just opposite. Here it is subscript, here it is superscript. Here it is superscript, here it is subscript. What about neutron? How will be writing neutrons? You will be writing neutrons, but in nuclear chemistry, you will be writing neutron like this. Charge will always be subscript and always on the left hand side, and mass will always be superscript. It can be there on the left hand side or right hand side, any side, but charge or atomic number will always be there on the left hand side and subscript. So just stay here, because if they will be writing like this, so you should not get confused. So you should know both things. Isotones are those species which have same number of neutrons. See, potassium 19, 39 and calcium 20, 40. See, if you know periodic table, you can give infinite number of this all isotones or isostars or isotopes or isobars. But if you don't know periodic table, then obviously you will be having limited examples only. So now see here how you will be calculating electrons and protons are 19. Here electrons and protons are 20. And here neutron is 20, 39 minus 19. Here also neutron will be 40 minus 20, that is 20. So see what isotopes are. Isotopes are those species which have same number of neutrons but different number of electrons and protons. Just opposite of this isotopes. Just opposite of this isotopes. In isotopes, neutrons were different. Here neutrons are same. In isotopes, electrons and protons were same. Here electrons and protons are different. So isotopes are just opposite of isotones, are two opposite things. So this is about isotones. Like this, they can ask you about isoelectronic species also. Isoelectronic species. What isoelectronic species are? Isoelectronic species, iso means same. Iso means, this also once I told you, iso means homo, means auto, means same. What about the aniso? Aniso means hetero, means allo, means different. Autosomes, allosomes. Autosomes means same type of chromosomes. Allosomes means different types of chromosomes. So allo means hetero, means aniso, means different, and iso means homo, means auto, means same. You should remember this all. Any other parallel word, that also we should know. So isoelectronic means electrons are same in number. Since isoelectronic, electrons are same. Since electrons are same, their electronic configuration will also be same. And as you know, chemical properties depends upon electronic configuration only. If electronic configuration is same, if electron is same, then their chemical properties will also be same. So isoelectronic species will always have same chemical properties. Now see, Na plus is having 10 electrons, Mg2 plus is having 10 electrons, Al3 plus is having 10 electrons, O2 minus is having 10 electron, F minus is having 10 electron, N3 minus is, sorry, this I wrote wrong, N3 minus. So that I need to write there on this side. N3 minus, so all these are having 10 electrons. Since all these are having 10 electrons, so their electronic configuration will be 2,8, that is 2s2, 2p6. So since their electronic configuration is same, so their chemical properties will also be same. So isoelectronic species are those species which have same number of electrons, which have same electronic configuration, and ultimately which are having same chemical properties. So see, this is all about isotopes, isobars, isotones, and isoelectronic species. And one more important thing, you wrote about isoelectronic species now. You wrote about isotopes.
Yes,
You wrote about isotopes. This isotope was mainly discovered by Soddy. Soddy discussed or gave idea of this isotopes only. So isotopes were mainly studied or discovered by Soddy. So now this is all about isotopes, isobars, isotones, and isoelectronic species. What next is isosters? What next is isosters? What isosters are? Isosters are those species which have same atomicity and same number of electrons. Those species which have same atomicity. See about this atomicity in class 7th definition was there. There in 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, nowhere you will get any idea about the atomicity. It was there only in class 7. So what atomicity is? Atomicity is the number of atoms there present in any molecule. So that is atomicity. So same atomicity and same number of electrons. That species is called isosters. Same number of electrons. C, CO2 and N2O. How many electrons? CO2. How many atoms are there? 3. Here also 3. So atomicity
3 and
is
3.
same. Atomicity is 3. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, atomicity is 3. And what about the number of electrons? See here, 8 plus 8, 16 plus 6, 22. 8 plus 8, 16 plus 6, 22. Here 7 plus 7, 14 plus 8, 22. So since both are having same number of electrons, that is 22, therefore, and atomicity is also same. So therefore, isosters CO2 and N2O are isosters of each other. Like this, you have to memorize as much. In 11th, it is difficult for you to handle because you should know the examples. They won't be giving you any idea. But in entrance examination, obviously ABCD options will be there now. So that will be easy for you to handle. Entrance is much more easier than your PUC first year and second year. Because in PUC first year, second year, you have to memorize everything. But in entrance examinations, you need not to memorize that. Just understand the concept. That's all. Everything will be there on the screen. And then you can choose the right option and accordingly can proceed further. So that is much easier than PUC first year and second year. So isosters are those species which have same atomicity and same number of electrons. So what next is isodiaphers? Isodiaphers. Isodiaphers are those species, which are having same isotopic number. Isodiaphers are those species which have same isotopic number. Same isotopic number. What isotopic number is? Isotopic number means number of neutrons minus number of protons. Number of neutrons minus number of protons, that is called isotopic number. And Shriram is there now? Shriram, are you there?
Yes, sir.
One day you told me about anode and cathode rays. So just after finishing this, remind me that. So I'll tell you the difference between those two. I think you are asking that point only. So I'll try to explain that too. And the questions are there based on that point. So I'll tell you that too. After once we'll finish this, then we'll talk about anode rays and cathode rays, different point of difference. One point is there. So isotopic numbers are those, isotopic number means the number of neutron minus number of protons. So difference between number of neutrons and protons is called isotopic number. C. Infinite number of examples you can mention for this. Potassium 1939 and fluorine 919. Here see how many neutrons are there? 20. How many protons are there? 19. So neutron minus proton is 20 minus 19, that is 1. And here how many neutrons are there? 10. How many protons are there? 9. So 10 minus 9. Neutron minus proton is 10 minus 9, that is 1. since both are having same isotopic number, so are isodiaphers. So isotopic number means the difference in number of neutron minus number of neutrons and proton, that is called isotopic number. Since both are having same difference in number of neutron and proton, that is the isotopic number, so both will be isodiaphers. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So on that day we did till here only. Now we'll be talking some more isoterms. Seventh term is isotopomers. Isotopomers or isotopic isomers From entire chemistry, I have taken complete isoterms from entire chemistry. So it will be there in different chapters or different parts of chemistry, organic, inorganic, physical, but I have taken all of them together so that it will be easy for you to handle or to remember this all. Isotopomers or isotopic isomers. So isotopomers or isotopic isomers, see example, CH3, CHB, CH3, and CH3, CH2, CH2D. See, this instead of writing CH2 protium, you wrote deuterium. So here that deuterium is there on the second carbon atom, and here you wrote that deuterium there on this carbon atom. If you will be taking this as first, second, and third, so this deuterium is there on the first, and here the deuterium is there on the second. Number of isotopic atoms are same, but their position is different. Are you getting my point? What's the meaning of isotopomers or isotopic isomers? Number of isotope is same, but their position will be different. These two are isotopes, na, deuterium and protium. H means protium. You know, 1H1 is protium, that is light hydrogen. 1H2 is deuterium, that is heavy hydrogen. And 1H3 is tritium. 1H3 is tritium, that is radioactive hydrogen. This is light hydrogen, this is heavy hydrogen, and this is radioactive hydrogen because it is radioactive in nature. This will be having 0 neutron, this will be having 1 neutron, and this will be having 2 neutrons. So on the basis of number of neutrons, as you have already given this definition, the isotopes will be having different number of neutrons. So this will be having 0, this will be having 1, and this will be 2. This question was there in IIT, that protium is the only species, hydrogen is the only species there in entire periodic table which is having 0 neutrons. So it is protium only, this isotope of hydrogen. Deuterium and tritium are having neutrons, but protium is not having any neutron. So see, these three, this deuterium is here on the second carbon atom, and this deuterium same in number. Here also 1 deuterium, here also 1 deuterium, but their position is different. So this is what the meaning of isotopomers or isotopic isomers. Fine. So how you will define this isotopomers or isotopic isomers? Isotopomers are isomers with isotopic atom having the same number. Isotopic atom having the same number of each isotopic atom, but different in their positions. Here it is on second, here it is on this terminal carbon atom. It can be constitutional or a stereoisomer. Under isomerism only, you will come to know about this, that it is constitutional or stereoisomer. So this is an example of isotopomer or isotopic isomer. Now see, next is isomers. Isomers. Isomers are those species which have same molecular formula. Isomers are those species which have same molecular formula, but different structural arrangement. But different structural arrangement, or you can say structural formula. Structural arrangement or different structural formula. Since they are structural
Sir, or
arrangement,
can't we say different properties, as structure means only related to structure?
That is what I'll tell you once, but we'll write this now. First, that same molecular formula but different structural arrangement, due to which they have which properties are different, due to which they have different, which property will be different? Physical or
boiling point, sir?
Chemical or
physical, sir?
Physical.
Physical,
No, both will be different. Physical properties depends upon the arrangement. Fine. Physical properties depends upon the arrangement. And here, if position is different, so because of that difference in position, it can be primary alcohol, or it can be secondary alcohol, or it can be tertiary alcohol. It can be primary amine or secondary amine or tertiary amine. So like that. So that's why we'll be having, they have, due to which they have different physical and chemical properties. Physical and chemical properties. Due to which they have different physical and chemical properties. Is it okay?
Yes.
That's what the difference between isomerism and allotropy is. That's what the difference in isomerism and allotropy is. Allotropy is the property of elements. Allotropy is the property of elements, and there only physical, different allotropic forms will be having different physical properties. Their chemical properties will remain the same. Diamond and graphite, na? Diamond and graphite. Fine. Diamond and graphite both will be having different physical properties but same chemical properties. Their different physical properties will be different, but chemical properties will be alike. Chemical properties will be alike, will be same. Is it okay? What about the isomers? Isomers will be having different physical and chemical properties, and it is always shown by organic compounds or inorganic compounds. I will never be giving you right options. So
generally organic, sir?
No. Better to say this question was there in IT. A option organic, B option inorganic, C option covalent. So covalent will be better answer because organic and inorganic both can show isomerism. Fine. So better to say covalent compounds. Better to say organic and inorganic, both compounds can show. Compounds can show isomerism. So better to say covalent compounds. So covalent
sir,
compounds.
but in ionic, covalent compound is not there, no, sir?
Yeah, no. NH3 is covalent. NH3 is covalent. H2O is covalent. CO2 is covalent. Inorganic
sir,
compounds.
Like here we said both, no, sir?
Yeah.
Ionic and covalent. So
ionic and covalent. No. See, inorganic compounds can be ionic as well as covalent. But organic compounds can never be ionic, will always be covalent only. Are you getting my point?
yes, sir.
NaCl is inorganic now and is ionic. NH3 is also inorganic and is covalent. So inorganic compounds can be ionic or covalent, but covalent compounds will always be, organic compounds will always be covalent only. Organic compounds can never be ionic. You are alive now, it means your body is there in organic form, in covalent form. Once death is there, then that organic form will get converted into inorganic form, ionic form. So once the process of conversion of this covalent into inorganic started, ionic started, that means end is about to be there. Fine. Is it okay?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Fine. So isomers are those species which have same molecular formula but different structural arrangement, due to which they have different physical and chemical properties. Usually organic and inorganic, both compounds, that is covalent compounds, show isomerism. Then how this isomerism will be different from allotropy? Allotropy is the property of elements only. Diamond and graphite are two allotropes now, but Mr. Fluorine also is the allotrope of carbon. So these are different allotropes of the same element, and their physical properties will be different. One will be conductor, another will be bad conductor, and but their chemical properties will be same because their electronic composition is same now, and electronic composition decides the chemical properties of the material, of the element, or of the compound, or any species. Fine.
Yes, sir.
So this is
Yes,
all about the isomers. Then we'll talk this is all about the isomers. Then the last isoterm, then the next that is the last isotherm. That is isomorphism. It's taking time, so I'll close this program and will once again share the screen. Today in your college holiday was there, or was it working?
it was working, sir.
Oh, fine. Screen is not shared, no?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay.
No, it is shared, sir.
Yeah, fine. Now, the next isotherm, that is isomorphism. Now, you need not to study any isotherm there in any part of chemistry, neither in PUC first year nor in PUC second year or IIT or NEET, whatever it is. You need not to study any isotherm again there in your life related to this. This isomorphism. Isomorphism, size of, I'll first give you example. ZnSO4.7H2O and FeSO4 7H2O. This see here, this Fe and Zn are two different ions, but rest everything is same. And these two Fe2 plus and Zn2 plus ions are also same in size.
Oxidation state, sir.
Oxidation state also same. This is Zn2 plus, this is Fe2 plus. Oxidation state is also same, and their size is also same, almost. Not exactly, but almost. So isomorphism, in case of isomorphism, size of metal ion, which metal ion here? It is Zn2 plus and Fe2 plus. Size of metal ion is same. Transition metal compounds usually exhibit isomorphism because their atomic composition is same and their crystalline structure will also be same. Same atomic composition and crystalline structure. Their size is also same. Size of metal ion. Which metal ion you are talking about? It is transitional metal ion. Transitional metal, that is D block metal. Transitional metal ion size is same. So this is an example of isomorphism. In isomorphism, atomic composition of the two ions will be same. Their crystalline structure will also be alike, and the size of the metal ion, that is transition metal ion, will also be same. So here oxidation state is also same. Oxidation number 2. That is Zn2 plus and Fe2 plus. That is both are having 2 plus oxidation state. So this is all about the isomorphism. Then last is nuclear isomers. Nuclear isomers. Nuclear isomers, radioactive elements having same atomic number, radioactive elements having same atomic number and same mass number but different mass number means atomic mass, but different radioactive properties. So two radioactive elements are there. Their atomic number, atomic mass will be same, but their radioactive properties will be different. As I have already told you, U-235 and U-232, their nuclear properties, their radioactive properties will be different. This is highly fissionable and this is not that much fissionable. This gives you enormous amount of energy and this gives little less amount of energy. Our India's nuclear program is based on U-235, but the polonium is the most modern nuclear fuel. This is conventional nuclear fuel. So India's nuclear program is based on conventional nuclear fuel. There is U-235, but the modern nuclear fuel is polonium. They can ask you a question from there too. So this is about nuclear isomers. Their atomic number and mass number will be same, but their radioactive properties, that's nuclear properties, will be different. So that is called nuclear isomerism, or such examples comes under this nuclear isomers. So this is all about the iso terms. So on that day, I think we discussed only 6 isoterms. Now we added 4 more isoterms. So now this all is over. So now we will discuss about the, is this all okay? Just always stress on example so that you can write theory also based on that example. You need not to mug up theory. From example itself, you will get an idea to write. Should I go to the next one? This all is over?
Yes, sir, it is.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Now see, as one day Sriram asked me about this. At that time, I was not able to get the point what he is trying to ask me. But I think he was asking me related to this. C, anode rays and cathode rays. Anode rays, E upon M ratio, that is charge upon mass ratio. And anode rays also E upon M ratio, that is charge upon mass ratio. Cathode rays E upon M ratio, cathode rays E upon M ratio for different gases. For different gases. And here anode rays E upon M ratio for different gases. C, different gases will be having different number of neutrons. Different gases will be having different number of neutrons. Electrons. Different gases will be having different number of electrons. And the mass of electron is negligible. Different gases will be having different number of electrons, and the mass of electron is almost negligible. So whether number of electron is 10 or 20 or 1 or 40 or 50, whatever it is, but won't be making any difference in the E upon M ratio in case of different gases for cathode rays. For cathode rays, since cathode rays are made of electrons only, cathode rays are made of electrons only, and anode rays are made of protons only. Anode rays are made of protons only. Mass of electron is negligible. So different gases will be having different number of electrons irrespective of their number, different numbers. Different gases will be having same E upon M ratio. Same E upon M ratio. For different gases, same E upon M ratio. For different gases, in case of cathode rays will be there. How we can say this? Because different gases will be having different number of electrons, and whether it is 10 or 20 or 40, number of electrons vary, but the mass of electron is almost negligible now. So it won't be making any difference. Number won't be making any difference in the mass of the total mass of the electrons present there in that gas. So E upon M ratio for different gases, E upon M ratio in case of cathode rays for different gases will always be same. But E upon M ratio for different gases in case of anode rays will always be different. Why? Because in different gases, different number of protons will be there, and mass of proton is not negligible now. So if number of proton varies, then its mass also vary. So E upon M ratio for different gases in case of anode rays will be different, but E upon M ratio for different gases in case of cathode rays will always be same. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
This is the difference between cathode
Sir,
and
and the origination point?
An origination point for cathode rays, it will always be cathode, and opposite side of that cathode, that is perforated electrode, that will be their opposite of that cathode rays, not exactly anode, but between anode and cathode there will be perforated perforated electrode that will be acting as anode. From there only this origin of anode rays will be there. See, as I told you there on that day, this is discharge tube experiment, discharge tube. Then from here cathode rays will be originated in the form of electrons. Here gases will be there now. Here gas molecules will be there. These electrons, fast moving electrons, will bombard with these gas molecules and will split into ions. That gaseous ions means positive now. That's gaseous ions means that will be positive. So those positive ions that will be the origin point, that here, as in cathode rays electrons are there, but there in anode rays positive ions will be there, that will be the source of, or that will be the carrier of this anode rays. So here this is the origin of cathode rays, and here this will be the origin of anode rays, not exactly here, not at anode. So positive ions will be acting as source of, or you can say origin point of this anode rays. Is this okay?
Yes, sir.
Fine. So now I think this was I thought this you were asking me. So if it still means you need some help, you can ask me. I'll try, just to text me. I'll try to explain it again. Whether it is, even if it is different chapter, then also you'll be doing the same. Not an issue. Fine.
Yes, sir.
Just
Sir,
always.
I cleared my doubts, sir.
Yeah, fine. If any doubt is there, you can just text me in whatever it is. Even if we'll be doing organic or inorganic something else, then also we will get the chance to explain the same. So just please keep on updating me, then only I can help you. Now see, now we'll be talking about some more points which are not yet done. So the next is photoelectric effect. Next is photoelectric effect. This also, I think this point also, Shriram, you raised now. So I told you that later what we'll be doing. Photoelectric effect was studied by first Hertz. Hertz is a unit of frequency. So that scientist studied this photoelectric effect. See, this is a metal plate. This is a metal plate. This is a metal plate. This metal plate, as I told you, it's made of metal, obviously. So their valence electrons, to excite valence electrons from the metal surface, certain minimum energy will be required. For the excitation of valence electrons from the metal, certain minimum frequency, certain minimum energy will be required. That minimum frequency is called threshold frequency. In physics, it is called work function. And if we'll be saying that certain minimum energy required for the excitation of the electron, excitation of the valence electrons from the metal surface, that is called threshold energy. Is it okay? For the excitation of the electron from the metal surface, certain minimum frequency will be required. That minimum frequency which is required for the excitation of electron, excitation of valence electron from the metal surface is called threshold frequency. And in physics, it's called work function. So work function and threshold frequency both are one the same thing. And if you'll be saying that a certain minimum energy is required for the excitation of valence electron from the metal surface, then it's called threshold energy. Fine. Now see, light falls on the surface of this metal. Light falls on the surface of this metal. This light will be having some energy or frequency. Frequency or energy of incident light. Incident light, that is photons. That is photons. So the energy of incident light or frequency of incident light, that is photons, must be greater than frequency or energy of incident light. This is energy of incident light must be greater than the threshold frequency of the, or threshold energy of the metal. This is threshold energy of the metal, and this is energy of the incident light. So energy of incident light must be greater than the threshold energy of the metal, or you can say frequency of incident light must be greater than the threshold frequency of the metal. Then only photo emission of electrons from the metal surface will be possible. This incident light is there in the form of photons, and these are photoelectrons. So ejection of photoelectrons from the metal surface, ejection of the photoejection of the metal, photoejection of the electrons from the metal surface will only be possible if the energy of the incident light or frequency of the incident light is greater than the threshold energy of the metal or threshold frequency of the metal. If this light, this incident light or photon will be having greater energy than what it is required for the ejection of photoelectrons from this metal surface, then only ejection will be possible. And these electrons will be collected over here some positive point, and electric current will start flowing just to opposite of this direction of photoelectrons. Electric current will start flowing from this point to this point, just opposite to that of the direction of the photoelectrons. Since this electric current you will be getting because of light, so it is called photoelectric effect. It is called photoelectric effect, and this current is called photoelectric current. Photoelectric current.
Sir, and that metal plate, no sir, it is mainly made up of cesium and potassium, no sir?
Yeah, why cesium? Cesium is okay, but why potassium? And why cesium only? Can you please tell me this?
Sir, because mainly they are situated in S block of first, sir, group
No,
1,
this is,
and their size.
yeah, don't say this all. Instead of saying this all, what you should say that the ionization energy of the cesium there in the periodic table, entire periodic table, it is the minimum. So will lose electron with the greatest ease now.
Yes, sir.
So that's what the reason is. Cesium is having lowest ionization there in entire periodic table, so will lose electron with greatest ease. Is it okay?
Yes, sir, and sodium will be having highest.
No, lithium will be having highest ionization energy, not sodium.
Okay, sir.
Fine. This is okay, man. But why potassium? Cesium is having lowest ionization energy, but rubidium you can't take. So cesium is okay. Cesium you can take, but rubidium you can't take. And why potassium you can take? Potassium is also having very low ionization energy. Why? Because there is abnormal increase in size of abnormal increase in volume of size of potassium. That is what the reason is. There is abnormal increase in size of potassium. That is why potassium also loses electron with the greatest ease. So it can only be cesium or potassium which can be used for this photoelectric effect. Even cesium and potassium can lose electron even in night light, blue light or moonlight. Forget about broad daylight, even in night, that is night light or moonlight or blue light, in that light also cesium and potassium can lose electrons. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
So that is why only cesium and potassium can be used there in this photoelectric effect. So if you talk about the reactivity of the metal on the basis of ionization energy, which is most reactive? Cesium is most reactive and lithium is least reactive. And if we'll talk about the reactivity on the basis of electrode potential, then lithium will be the most reactive. So see two contradictory answers now. One hand you are saying that on one hand you are saying lithium is the least reactive, and on another hand you are saying that lithium is the most reactive. If you are talking in terms of ionization energy, then lithium will be the least reactive, and if you are talking in terms of standard electrode potential, then lithium will be the most reactive. This is its natural state, this is its natural state, and this is in its aqueous solution state. Is this all okay?
Yes, sir.
Now see, we'll see one more point related to this photoelectric effect only, what you wrote here now related to this only. So now see energy of incident light, that is incident energy. Incident energy, some part of that incident energy will be used to take out electron from the metal surface, that is called work function, and rest will be used in its kinetic energy. So energy of the incident light, that is photon, will always be equal to the work function, that is threshold frequency, plus kinetic energy. What incident light is? Incident energy is h nu, and what work function is h nu naught, will h nu naught plus kinetic energy. Now see, you can write it like this too. Kinetic energy will be equal to h nu minus h nu naught. Numericals will be there based on this. H nu minus h nu naught. Take out this h because it is common. So h nu minus nu naught. Or instead of writing nu, because nu is equal to c upon lambda, nu is equal to c upon lambda. So nu naught will be equal to c upon lambda naught. So instead of writing nu and nu naught, we will be writing c upon lambda. C is also common. So you can write Ke is equal to hc 1 upon lambda minus 1 upon lambda naught. Is this all okay? So this is mathematical derivation for this relationship between energy of incident light, work function, and kinetic energy. Is this all okay?
Yes, sir. Understood, sir.
Sir, but here with incident energy, no, sir, why work done has also been included?
Because incident energy means your income now. Incident energy means your income. Some part will be consumed from that income and rest will be saving. Income is equal to expenditure plus saving now. So some part of the energy will be spent on this emission of electron, photo ejection of electron from the metal surface. That is called work function, and rest will be used for increasing its speed, that is kinetic energy. Some part of the incident energy will be used in taking out electron from the metal surface, and rest amount of the energy will be used for increasing the speed of the electron. For increasing the speed of the electron. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
So more the, if suppose kinetic energy is zero, if suppose kinetic energy is zero, if this is zero, then whatever amount of energy falling on the metal surface will be used for work function. So electron will be ejected from the metal surface, but after ejection that electron won't be moving, will not be moving away from that metal surface, will remain be there only. But from the metal surface it will be ejected. Fine. So more the energy of the incident light, more will be the speed of the electron, because this threshold energy is constant now. Threshold energy is constant. Is it okay? Should I go to the next one?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Now see, just what you did there in our previous classes, the same point I'll be doing it here, and we'll be finishing this this class. See, we did various atomic models now. So here pictorially, I'm trying to differentiate them. Pictorially, how we can differentiate them, that is what I'm trying to do here. This is Dalton's atomic model. What this is? Dalton's atomic model. I am talking here about various atomic models. This is Dalton's atomic model. It is also known as billiard ball model. This billiard ball model. There I said only Dalton's atomic model, but it is also known as billiard ball model. Now see the next one. Now see the next one. This is plus, plus, minus, minus, plus, plus, minus, minus, means electrons and protons are in equal number, means atom is electrically neutral, and
Plum pudding model,
diameter,
sir.
Yeah, that is and the size of the
Thomson's
radii of the,
atomic model.
yeah. That is Thomson's atomic model, plum pudding model. Thomson's atomic model or plum pudding model. Here, plum pudding model. Here, 2 points you should remember. One, atom is neutral because electrons are always equal to proton. And second point, diameter or radii of atom is 10 to the power minus 10 meter order. These 2 points you should remember because this was the outcome of this Thomson's atomic model. Is this okay? Now see the third one. Now see the next one. This is Rutherford's atomic model. Here plus and electrons are there. These are electrons. These are electrons. This is this is Rutherford's atomic model. This is Rutherford's atomic model. Here nucleus was discovered and the diameter of the nucleus is 10 to the power minus 15 meter order. Fine, and nucleus discovered. This was the outcome of this Rutherford's atomic model. Is it okay? See the chronology of the various atomic models. Here Dalton's, this is Thomson, this is Rutherford. What next is? Next is
Bohr, sir.
this is, yeah, Bohr's atomic model. This is nucleus and then 1, 2, 3, 7 till 7 here.
It's a circular orbitals.
Electrons, yeah, circular orbits, electrons. Is this okay? This is Bohr's atomic model. That's very important.
Sir, he's Neil Bohr, sir, or some other, sir?
Yeah, Neil Bohr. Neil Bohr is the one man model, Bohr's atomic model.
Sir, and
That
atomic
is-
theory also by this person only.
Yeah. And next is, this is nucleus and then, sorry,
Elliptical orbital, sir.
yeah. This is Bohr-Sommerfeld model. That's quantum mechanical model. This is quantum mechanical model. Sorry, I told you Bohr-Sommerfeld model. Quantum mechanical model or wave mechanical quantum or wave mechanical model is Schrodinger's. Is this okay? This is pictorial representation of different atomic models. This is Dalton's atomic model, then plum pudding model, then Rutherford, then Bohr's, and then quantum or wave mechanical model. This is the most advanced one, latest one. Is this all okay?
Yes, sir.
Fine. So this is all about for today's class, and tomorrow we'll be doing the rest. If something else related to this is there, just please let me know. Fine. So just text me. So we'll talk about those things too, and we'll start the next chapter. Fine. Thank you very much, you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Fine.
Thank you, sir.
Fine. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye. Take
Sir,
care.
end the
Thank you.
recording.
Okay, fine. I'll do that.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.